Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. Today I have 5 9.8 comic books that are dropping in value, but should you get in there and buy them now, that's what we'll kind of go through for each one on the video here. So first one up is a Darth Maul #2, first appearance of Cad Bane. This one has been on a bit of a roller coaster just in the last month here, and I think it's a really good lesson on sometimes what I talk about, like not chasing the hot comic books. But a Darth Maul #2 in the first print on the census, 204 9.8s in a blue label, 44% is the 9.8 ratio, which is not too bad kind of for, a modern book. A lot of modern books are over 50%, so it could be worse for a Darth Maul #2. But okay, so interesting on this one, just in the last few days, a few sales on this one in a 9.8, $367 and $380. Now, if you go back like 2 or 3 weeks ago, this is when Cad Bane had appeared in the Book of Boba Fett show. Things really heated up at that point. A few sales right around that time, $775, $732, and $662. So you're saving yourself like $300 now just waiting 2 weeks from kind of, peak. Everyone's being surprised that Cad Bane's in there. A lot of times I always recommend not to chase like hot comic books. This is a perfect example of that. You waited just 2 weeks, literally. You're saving yourself $300 on this one in the 9.8. And to be honest, like, around $367, $380, you waited a few weeks from the super high kind of FOMO prices. I think, for a hot comic book, kind of $367 to $380 is a pretty decent buy. Like, I'm not one to kind of recommend to get in there on a really hot comic book. But if you're a Cad Bane fan and you wanted this one, $367, $380 are kind of prices to aim for when, 2 weeks ago this one was going for $775, $732. And, for this one, for me, it's like one that was a great buy at kind of $175 to $200 before, people didn't really know that Cad Bane was going to be in any Star Wars content. But, yeah, you might want to get in there now around that sort of $350 to $400 area, but not my kind of thing to, recommend a really hot comic book like this. Okay, moving on though. A Captain America #6, the next one. First full appearance of Winter Soldier. I do like the first print cover on this one. I know the Winter Soldier's on like the kind of variant cover, and that one's more expensive, but Captain America's looking badass on the first print. I did see some of the first prints sell on some of the research I did this morning. So this one is absolutely on the cool down, dropping in value from Falcon and Winter Soldier during the show when it was out, and kind of the build up to the show. I would say probably that's when the prices peaked on this one. There's a 571 9.8s in a blue label, universal grade blue label. 45.9% is the 9.8 ratio. Recent prices for this one in an auction saw one sell for $256.59. That wasn't an old case though. So I think that's going to be pretty tough to get, but saw another one sell for $288 and saw another for $350. And during the build up to Falcon and Winter Soldier, this one was like over $400. Pretty sure at one point they were $500 about in this first print. The variant is kind of usually about $100 or $200 more expensive. But yeah, so from $400 to $500, now $256.59, $288, maybe even up to $350 if you're a big Winter Soldier fan. I think this is one you can kind of get in there right now and buy for a fair value under $300, hopefully. And then that, the Captain America movie will eventually come out. Maybe the Winter Soldier is going to be in that. I'm not too sure. But yeah, this is kind of one that's cooling down that I think is a fair value with, pretty solid first appearance in the modern age. Under $300 is making a lot of sense on a Captain America #6. All right, next one I do have. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, #1. Lots of first appearances on this one, and this one just got wild during the peak of the the virus hot comic book market. Snake Eyes, the movie, had sort of come out during that time too, so there were a few sales. Like in the direct edition, they went for like $3,500, like $3,800. A newsstand edition was like almost $5,000, and I just thought that was crazy at the time, and it just really surprised me at the time. But nowadays, pulling back, dropping in price on a G.I. Joe Real American Hero #1. There's 712 9.8s in a blue label. A 1 of 712 for just all the classic first appearances is kind of cool, like Cobra Commander, Snake Eyes, the Baroness, all the Joes. So you just get, all the sweet first appearances on a G.I. Joe #1. A 1 of 712, a great collector item. 16.4%, the 9.8 ratio. When I got into collecting, the 9.8 ratio on this was about 20%. Because I always remember feeling like, you know, this wasn't the toughest one in the 9.8, but it is absolutely trending down over time. And now it's looking pretty fantastic, actually. 16.4% of all graded copies are 9.8s. That's pretty great. So some recent sales for G.I. Joe Real American Hero #1. There was a Comic Link auction about a month ago that sold that made me think like, okay, now you want to really be on the lookout for buying a G.I. Joe #1 on this drop in price. Sold for $1,250. That's, I think, looking like a screaming value. Since then, one had sold for $1,808. Saw another one on eBay sell for $1,999 or best offer, so maybe that went for closer to $1,500, hopefully. And you know what? G.I. Joe #1, I think it's one you can absolutely buy on the drop in price here. $1,250 all day. I would pay that currently, but you know, maybe even up to like $1,500. Someone paying $1,808. So hopefully this one just doesn't heat right back up. But it is a great collector item, and you know, certainly way better to buy now, even if it is at kind of $1,100 or $1,800 than during the hot COVID market at like $3,000, some of those crazy prices. So yeah, G.I. Joe #1 is a great collector item and one you can get in there and buy on the pullback right now. For a fair value, of course. All right, next one, I do have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures #1. This is, you know, was certainly an under-the-radar Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles key issue for sure. I always really liked it because it's the first appearance of when the Turtles get their 4-colored bandanas. And for me, that's how I always knew the Ninja Turtles. So I always thought this was like an under-the-radar key. And pre-COVID market, this one was like $125, $150 in kind of the direct edition 9.8. So it's come a long way, and it did peak during the virus era highs about a year ago. That was, and on the pullback now. But I do think it's one to grab while it's cooling down in price. 373 9.8s in a blue label. 22.6% is a 9.8 percentage. Yeah, luckily I got the Canadian edition and signed by Kevin Eastman, the creator of the Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I was so lucky to grab this one. It was right sort of when the coronavirus started happening and prices really didn't heat up very much. This one popped up in Canada for $400. I ended up buying this one. It's a 1 of 2 on the Canadian edition signed. There's only 2 of these in the world. Such a steal I got on this. But in the blue label, nowadays in the 9.8 direct edition, they're selling right around $1,000. And this is after, during like COVID era highs, they were about 1,500, 1,600. Yeah, this one just went from like 0 to hero. They were like $125 before the coronavirus hot comic book market. They heated up to like 1,500. Now they're about 1,000. Occasionally you'll see an auction. There was an auction about 3 months ago that went for, it was like 850. And I thought, you know, now you really got to think of grabbing this one on a pullback. But now they most seem to be selling for around 1,000 in a direct edition. But yeah, I think, you know, maybe you could be a little bit more patient, get it under 1,000, hopefully. But yeah, Ninja Turtles Adventures #1 is, I think, kind of an up-and-coming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles key that you do want to buy on a bit of a price pullback here. Yeah, and first appearance of like Bebop, Rocksteady, and Krang as well. You get some classic villain first appearances in there too. Okay, last one here on a cooling down 9.8 comic books. Incredible Hulk 340 in a CGC 9.8. Second time Hulk and Wolverine fight, classic Todd McFarlane cover. This one, peak COVID hot comic book market. This one was, I remember a few sales at $2,000, 2,000 US dollars. We'll go through some of the most recent sales here. There's 847 9.8s in a blue label. 11.8% is the 9.8 ratio. So this one is looking like it might be a single-digit 9.8 ratio in a few more years. Really like for a late 1980s book, you really like that 11.8% 9.8 ratio. So Incredible Hulk 340. Noticing on eBay right now, like all of them that are on there are like $3,000 or best offer. Like they're pretty overpriced, I would say. With the peak of this one selling like maybe a little bit over 2,000, they went during the peak COVID comic book market. But recent sales on them, not, you know, just prices on eBay, sales prices, $1,399.99 and $1,569.69. So, you know, over 2,000 at the peak, Now they're cooling down a little bit, 1,399. I think in the last kind of 3 months there was some sales, kind of 1,100. There might have been a sale rate around 1,000, but this is kind of one of those like high quality key issues that I think is, you know, maybe bottomed about 3-4 months ago and now is adding like a few other $100, but you know, still pulling back from virus era highs. And I think it's a pretty fantastic value, to be honest, in a 9.8 with that low 9.8 ratio for a late 1980s book. This is one I didn't bring any of mine out, but I have 4 of them in a 9.8 white pages on an Incredible Hulk 340, just being like a big Todd McFarlane fan and noticing even back when I had purchased all mine like 3 years ago, this was a tough 9.8 with a low 9.8 ratio for late 1980s book. So Incredible Hulk 340 is one to buy on the pullback for sure. All right, team. Yeah, good to go through some just, you know, cooling down 9.8s and figuring out if they're a buy or not. All right, team. Thanks so much for watching, though. I'll see you on the next one. If you're liking my content, please subscribe and hit that bell, and I'll keep you updated on future videos.